All right, I got an early work day, so I gotta quickly knock this out as fast as I can. So this morning, the little flyer here for Make It Rain dropped. We now know what we're getting. We are getting a kappa, even though it's imps. How many people even know that? The creature is called a kappa, but back when FF6 was first translated to English, it got localized to imps because they thought we wouldn't know what a kappa was. And granted, at the time I wouldn't either, but I digress. That's gonna be starting May 15th, go on until May 31st. This coincides with the event. The Moogle Tomestones. And Moogle Tomestones this time around, we do know for a fact it will have it so Gold Saucer Gates do award the irregular tomestones. So all of a sudden being at the Gold Saucer and doing all those fun gates whenever you can, super beneficial because it's going to be double MGP because Make It Rain always gives double MGP, and you're going to get irregular tomestones at the same time. As per usual with the Make It Rain campaign, your starting point is going to be in Ul'dah, right next to the irregular tombstone Moogle, oddly enough this time around. And I imagine it's just going to be a little quick two quest, no big deal, etc., etc. Your completion, you're going to get Imp Suit, Imp Head. You'll also apparently be able to get this and get Cactuar Table. This looks painful. Props to whoever figures out how to make this useful. Someone's going to figure out something, and it's not going to be me. More importantly, though, you get this, an outdoor Gold Saucer Clock. I imagine a lot of people are going to make a lot more use out of this than this. That's just me, though. I imagine this is going to be the reward for taking part in the event. I'm willing to bet these are going to be bought with MGP. Probably not for a whole lot, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But, you know, the other thing we want to take a look at, and I haven't gone in and checked. I think the event has ended by now, the FF14 event. But I want to actually check to see if their MGP items are still in the shop or not. All right, that's pretty much all I got to talk about there. Before we close up shop, though. Oh, by the way, you do need to be pretty much past the tutorial of A Realm Reborn to take part in this event. So if you're just starting off, you might not be able to take part in it, but I'd still give it a look. If you have access to the 3 cities, you probably have access to this. I'm just saying, you probably do. Next thing I actually want to talk about, though, before we close up, is this, the DDoS attacks. So FF14 was brought down to its knees on Monday by a DDoS attack. It was literally a DDoS attack that lasted for a full day. And the reason I want to talk about it is because it happened again. After the servers went back up for maintenance, the DDoS attack continued, but countermeasures were put into place to get past it. And then they changed their method of attack and knocked out NA, EU, and Oceanic data centers for an extended period of time, but not as strong. So there's evidence that the crew has figured out how to get around whatever was used. But I mean, you know, this isn't good. This isn't good, guys. Can you imagine if this happened the day after Dawn Trail released? Someone is out for FF14. Now, some people said that it was an internal problem and they're just blaming a DDoS attack. No, because they will admit it when it's their own equipment. We actually just had a login technical issue with the Chaos server. They even said it was a server equipment issue. These are explicitly said it is a DDoS attack. These also feel pretty automated, to be perfectly honest. These feel like these messages are created via an automated system as as the network administrators log into the system. So I seriously doubt they're manufacturing these reports to hide some sort of internal flaw. I think it actually is a DDoS attack, which is actually honestly worse than a internal issue. It means that someone's out for them. Some people are speculating that a gill selling group that was almost completely shut down is doing it as a result. It's possible. There definitely would be a motive. At this time, there is no evidence that I am aware of to confirm this. So at this point, all I can do is speculate. Maybe I should actually explain what a DDoS attack is. Here's what makes DDoS so rough, all right? You have a server, okay? You have the servers of FF14. And in this case, we actually have 4 servers. We have 4 data centers. NA, EU, JP, Oceania, all right? You have those 4. And even then, that's technically untrue because there's several data centers in there which are probably actually just different sectors of a bigger data center, but I digress. We're not going to get into the actual hardware of it, all right? Everyone logs in from random IPs to these servers. Authenticate, handshake, go do top, whatever. A DDoS, all it's doing is sending pings at those servers at the speed of thought far faster than our FF14 clients are. Because let's say our FF14 clients are pinging the server we'll say every quarter of a second. All right. It might be more than that. It might be less than that. I'm actually not 100% sure what the actual rate of time is that it's actually pinged. What if you have a ton of units? That's what a DDoS is. Well, let's actually first define a DDoS. A DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service Attack. This means that you have another server sending commands to another server so fast and so rapidly that that server has no ability to respond to anyone else. Distributed means that instead of it being just one server, it is multiple units. You have one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. Usually this is done with what's called a botnet. This means that multiple units, usually somewhere in the tens of thousands of computers of some kind, whether it be laptops, desktops, full-blown server, or even smart devices, then send out commands to the server at however fast they can do it. We'll say 1,000 times a second, and try to overload the server so it cannot respond to anyone else. This causes drop packets to actual users. This causes slowdowns. This causes disconnections, and this causes that server to cease to function. You then start creating countermeasures so that you say, okay, we know this light bulb is bad. Ignore this MAC address. All right. And then just start, when commands are sent that quickly, just start denying that. Well, you have software that can then spoof a MAC address. A MAC address is a physical ID number for the network controller. You know how there's an IP to identify where you're connecting from a device? That can change though. A MAC address is hard coded on your Wi-Fi card, on your Ethernet port, on your network card, whatever you're using to connect, it has a MAC address. This, however, can also be spoofed. So if I'm a server and I see attacks here, here, and here, all going ahead and doing this kind of DDoS, I can say this MAC address, this MAC address, this MAC address, ignore them forever. Well, if they use software to start spoofing them, they then just change their MAC addresses and then can continue the attack. You then start going, okay, as a server, I'll just block those then and just keep on going until they run out. Well, eventually, little Billy over here is going to accidentally have his MAC address blocked. All they gotta do, since everything's working at the speed of nanoseconds, is just keep this up fast enough. Eventually the server will run out of MAC addresses to ban. So you need to start looking for other methods of attack. And this is just one example of how one of these DDoS attacks can go down. The fact that this kind of cat and mouse game went on for so long is actually incredible. And some people were saying, oh my God, FF14 so incompetent, they couldn't block this. You could tell they were fighting it, because there were bursts of upwards of 5 minutes where nothing was happening. And then suddenly the disconnections were happening rapidly again. That was literally the attacker changing how they were attacking, because FF14 figured out how to block the attacks. That cat and mouse game went on for over 24 hours. And it appears to be fine now. Either the attacker gave up the attack, or FF14 found a pretty solid way to beat out the attack. I'm hoping it's the latter, because if it's the former, that means they can just start the DDoSing again and shut down all of FF14 when it matters the most. And considering that Dawn Trail's right around the corner, that's kind of concerning. In any case, that's going to do it for me. I got to go quickly shower and upload this and get to work. Take care. See you next time.